I mean, here's the deal. It's that time of the week again. I had to turn up my microphone because my daddy said so. I'm just joking. Apparently some of you are having listening problems. So we just edited it down. It's the 4th and 1 podcast. Brought to you by you guys, the fan, anchor.fm/4th and 1, Instagram at 4th and 1 podcast. And we're having a hell of a time here in Lidditz in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It's your man, Fancy Trash Can. Sitting next to, as always, Captain Boring. And we're going to lead right off with the obligatory World Cup. The USA actually made it out of their group stage. Okay, World Cup news over.
And look what they had to do to be able to do that. They had to win the football game, didn't they? Yeah,
they
soccer
did.
Game, whatever. Yeah, they couldn't tie. Who would have thought? Who would have said that ties were just bad for a sport?
You want to know what's really funny? And so two of the groups are now, well, three, I think, of the group. No, two of the groups are now closed.
Okay.
And I forget who it was. Oh, it was Saudi Arabia spoiled Mexico's chances of getting into the group 16 because they scored one goal against Argentina. They lost the game, mind you. Saudi Arabia lost the game, not to Argentina, to Poland or whoever they were playing. It was the other team. They lost the game. They were out. They didn't have to, but based on goal differential, like Argentina gets in over Mexico. And Mexico fans are so upset that literally I was on ESPN, and of course it's all, it's all World Cup news right now. Herc Gomez,
Okay.
says that the Mexican coach is the worst coach in Mexican history. They immediately just turned on the coach. The Mexican fans are just like, F you, man. You're the worst ever.
These soccer fan bases have college football down to a T already. Just pick a college football team and root. It's the exact same thing.
It's the exact same thing.
I mean, the
culture is 100% the exact same.
The Ohio State fan base has turned on Ryan Day so quickly. They want him fired at the post game right outside of the stadium for Big Noon kickoff. It's a whole bunch of Fox, Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, Brady Quinn, and Urban Meyer's one of them. The Ohio State fans were behind him chanting, "We want Urban."
Yeah, of course they do.
We want Urban. Because Ryan Day had the audacity to lose 2 games in the last 2 years, both to the arch rivals from up north.
It's really funny, and Makai obviously leads us into the Michigan-Ohio State game. Ryan Day just looked pissed off the entire second half. Once he kind of lost control of the game, he just kind of seemed annoyed. He could tell, because honestly, I mean to be 100% rude. I do mean to be 100% rude. Ohio State players didn't show up in the second half. The clear adjustment for Ohio State was to play harder. That's all they had to do. They were getting the results that they needed, and they were destroyed, rightfully so, using that word rightfully so, by an injured, banged-up Michigan team and a 19-year-old white boy from Illinois.
J.J. McCarthy's from Illinois?
I don't remember where J.J.
I don't think he's from Illinois. It doesn't really matter where he's from. Yeah, Simeon. Michigan was outplayed in that first half.
LaGrange Park, Illinois. Suck it.
All righty. Great. Great. I don't even know where J.J. McCarthy's from.
You had one job. Just the one?
Yeah, as you said, Ohio State really outplayed them in the first half. It was 20-17 at halftime, and we both felt like Michigan was just kind of hanging on. And outside of those 2 big plays from Cornelius Johnson, the 69-yard touchdown, which was off J.J. McCarthy's back foot. Oh, Duke. Oh.
Is Makai's dog literally throwing up during the podcast?
Carrie, go upstairs. Go upstairs. Go upstairs. Go. No, dude, up.
As his dog now tries to eat his said vomit.
He's throwing up. Go.
I'm not even going to stop it because of how hilarious it's going. It's happening. You know how you made gag noises, throw up, and you Duke
Yeah.
just took it to the extreme.
Oh yeah, I mean he just threw up his entire dinner on the carpet, so that'll be fun. Yeah, so outside of the two big the missed tackle, Cornelius Johnson long touchdown run, and then the deep bomb, they did nothing in the first half outside of that. And then they came out and they just punched Ohio State right in the mouth in the second half. And I think you and me kind of both watched that game with no emotion. It was kind of the first time that we both kind of were on level playing fields of how we watched a football game, especially a Michigan football game. We watched it with no emotion because we both expected kind of Ohio State to eventually figure it out and put the hammer down. And Michigan just wouldn't let them put the hammer down in the second half.
Well, I feel like it was all ball control in the second half. That's really what did it. I mean, they've been playing that game. It's clear they went in and said they made the adjustments they need to. They said we're going to get the running game, the backups, more reps. Donovan Edwards, he's healthy. Get him reps. Get JJ more throwing reps. It was clear that that's what they did. And then we're going to play our game. And instead of playing our game through the big men up front, they isolated probably what's going to be a future over. I don't even remember his name. The guy
Marvin
who went
Harrison?
off against. Yeah, no. Marvin Harrison has still had a great game.
Yeah,
he
was the only
beast.
wide receiver that did it. Are you talking about Emeka Buka?
The defensive end or tackle.
Oh, JT Tuimoloau. Yes. Okay.
Yes, they just shut him down. The O-line just shut him down. And the cornerbacks couldn't do anything, which was surprising because Ohio State sold out for the run. They went into man coverage, one safety over top, which is why they lost the game at the same time. But when you're selling out to stop the run, that doesn't mean you should. That means you can't do what you did. Michigan controlled the game clock in the second half and then controlled everything else about it. That's just not how it went.
And there was no adjustment from Ohio State in the second half besides play harder. Like, okay, so your safeties, your corners, you're basically in press man coverage the entire game. You give up 2 long pass plays. So you come out in the second half and you do the exact same thing, and they hit you on another deep pass play to Colston Loveland, and that's how the third quarter starts.
Yeah.
And then you so you get out of that, and then Michigan walks downfield on a 15-play touchdown drive to J.J. McCarthy, and then and then your offense sputters, spins the wheels, turns the ball over on downs, has a turnover, and then because you are in now forced go mode, that's when Donovan Edwards breaks 2 long runs.
And that's, I think, that miscalculation is on Ryan Day's part, and I feel like he knows that. When he went for it on fourth down, that was a miscalculation.
Up 7.
He needed to flip the field and let his defense be his defense and then get back, because he had the better wide receivers. You have 2 number 1 overall picks. Chris Olave from last year is doing stuff in New Orleans, so it's not like you guys aren't going to do something in the future. And all I can think of is TCU's DeQuante Johnson. I feel like I'm being really racist right now.
Quinston Johnston.
Quinston Johnson. I knew it started with a Q.
Quinton Johnston, yes.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I just feel like those guys are going to be a beast. Anyway, enough on us. This is how we were. This is how me and Micaiah were. We were just like, okay.
Look right.
We really only got excited when the game was over, and I even waited till after the interviews just to make sure, like, Ohio State didn't win somehow in the post-game press conference. Like, I was like, okay, I wasn't expecting. I know that I called this, and we do have to bring that up. I am sorry. The deal was, if Blake Corum started, it was Michigan by many.
No,
Blake Corum started, therefore
he played 2 plays.
It doesn't matter.
No, it
does.
does.
Who took the first rep?
Blake Corum.
So therefore, who started?
Blake Corum did. But no,
So
that doesn't
Blake
count.
Corum started, and
Because
therefore they won the game.
No Michigan fan who even took Michigan, like yourself, truly believed that Michigan was going to pull this off. They had not won in that building in 22 years. I was 6 years old, ladies and gentlemen.
I was
You
2.
were 2.
Yeah.
No one believed that Michigan was going to walk into Ohio State and beat them not only back-to-back times, but in the horseshoe. And I'm with you. It took me a little bit for it to set in, the excitement. And then Saturday, I watched the highlights twice. I watched the highlights probably 3 or 4 times Sunday, and I've watched them 15 or 20 times since then. So it's very exciting. It's very cool to be a part of. I think this is Michigan's welcome call to the elite program status, at least at this point in college football. Thank you, my dear. Carrie is the real MVP as she has cleaned up the dog vomit.
Well, Dick, here's the deal. I'm the best there is, plain and simple. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence.
So let's talk about a couple of the other big games that happen that will lead kind of into this weekend. And it's interesting, on your notes, you have UNC backs into the ACC championship.
Well, Clemson did as well.
That's what I was saying. The ACC is so soft.
What? So for those of you who don't know, North Carolina clinched their division 2 weeks ago. And since then, they've lost, or they've actually clinched it 3 weeks ago. Since then, they've lost twice in 3 weeks, including to a really bad Georgia Tech team.
Mm-hmm.
And then they lost, I think that was this most recent loss. But then they also lost the game before. What are we doing in the ACC? They both, by the way, and then Clemson got beat at home, snaps to South Carolina. That snaps the nation's longest home winning streak at 40 games. So both of these teams are backing in. Both of these teams had an outside shot at making the playoff, especially Clemson. Not anymore. The ACC's out. And it's a kind of a really disappointing for the ACC. But I think, Simeon, you and me both knew that Clemson was the one carrying this program.
The conference.
The conference. Yes.
I mean, the issue with ACC is it's doing exactly what everybody who joined the ACC wanted to avoid. They're turning into a basketball conference. The Big East, the original Big East collapsed because Boston College and Syracuse left because they wanted to be taken seriously as football programs. Well, that was a joke to begin with. But now all of a sudden, the only 2 teams are Clemson and North Carolina. And guys, you're going the wrong way when it comes to momentum. Right? Because we all know that the transfer portal will eventually even itself out, and we'll be back to kind of where we normally are and to be expected. The interesting thing that we're running into is the ACC is going almost the other way, where they're not going to get the recruits that they need in order to build a conference. And they're definitely not going to get the transfers because the transfers want to go play in the league. And you need to be on TV if you want to play in the league. That's the Pac-12's problem. That's why we always see Alabama players. So, yeah, no, that's just my quick little rant about the ACC and how soft they are. Title it, whatever you want to do.
The ACC is soft. I do indeed like that title. I am kind of curious, though, because it is like the ACC took their foot off the gas. And Clemson, while yes, they won their division and they went 10-2, and you know they got a good shot against North Carolina because their defense is still amazing. I find it like that program they had the great run with Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, and then I guess they were so good that they covered up a lot of the program's problems. And last year they didn't have a running game. Well, this year they have a running game, but they really don't have the wide receivers that they did. And they can never – it's like they they took a step back. And I'm not talking like they did it because they lost focus. I still feel like they're very focused, and their goals are the same, and they're championship hungry, and they're well coached, and I still feel like all of that is true, but I just feel like everyone else has taken a step forward, and Clemson stayed the exact same, and that's it. I just had an epiphany right here on the show. 4th and 1 Podcast. Go follow us on Instagram at 4th and 1 Podcast. Also, tune in to YouTube Saturday noon, and we will be going live from YouTube for the Big 12 and MAC championship game.
Yeah.
Yes, Big 10 and Big 12 and MAC championship game. So tune in to live on YouTube. No,
sorry, the MAC is tomorrow. We're going live for the... Oh, wait, no, MAC runner-up is tomorrow. I apologize. No,
okay.
Buffalo's just randomly playing Akron tomorrow. That's not a runner-up.
Okay, great.
It's the MAC and it's the Big 12. You were right the first time. Sorry about that, guys.
So, tune in live YouTube. I just had that epiphany. It's like everyone else has taken a step forward, and Clemson's just stayed exactly where they are. You know? Mm-hmm. Doesn't it kind of feel like everyone's like, what's wrong with Clemson? I don't think anything's wrong with Clemson. I just don't think that they've had the elite playmakers, and the ball hasn't bounced the right way in their conference because it has gotten a little bit better. And they just haven't taken that step forward with them as well.
Sorry, it's really interesting. I'll bring this up later. I think, you already know what I had to say, so I think we move on to... did you see unranked Kentucky beat number 25 Louisville? I don't know. Louisville being ranked was
again, it's your ACC is soft theory, I think, works in this scenario. Whenever the ACC goes up against a SEC school, you get punched in the mouth, and because the SEC get punched in the mouth every week, you eventually learn how to get back up, right? It's like being the youngest kid. The older brother pushes you down all the time, beats you up, picks on you. You learn to get back up so that when you go to school and you meet all these other kids who aren't used to that, who are the oldest child, when you get up, Simeon, and you swing back and you punch them right in the face, they're going to go cry to mom because they haven't been conditioned to be able to take a punch in the face.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But let's
Louisville
move on.
Scott Satterfield has saved his job at Louisville, if he's still the head coach there, and really kind of turned that season around, finished 7-5, got to a bowl game, great for the program.
Yeah, good for... Well, let's move over there. Talking about coaches.
Okay.
We already have a little bit of the coaching carousel moving around.
We do.
David Shaw of Stanford retires after 11 years, just in case anybody didn't realize that was 11 years ago, because that was the biggest. The biggest thing was not that he retires. The biggest thing that it was 11 years since Jim Harbaugh was there.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. Jim Harbaugh was at Stanford and turned them into a powerhouse. Orange Bowl, Andrew Luck, number 1 draft pick, running backs, offensive line. Stanford was Michigan, and then he left for San Francisco, 49ers, came back to Michigan, and now has rebuilt Michigan, and we've already covered what he is doing there. So, yeah, a little bit of surprise, but he said in the interview, I'm not burnt out, but it kind of sounds like he is. Like, you can just tell. Like,
Stanford's expectations were low because of how high they prize their academics. So, yeah, I think that makes sense that he would be burnt out.
And it's combined with the academics too. They're also on the West Coast, Pac-12.
Yep. Pac-12.
No one goes to their football games, even when they are amazing. They can't get the student body out because the student body's all out.
Probably studying
weed,
or partying.
Studying, looking at pine trees, whatever they do. I don't even know if there are pine trees. I don't either. Yeah, but their mascot's a tree.
There are pine trees everywhere. Now, what type of pine tree is a different story. Anyway, that doesn't matter.
So it's kind of a hard recruiting sell outside of come here, get a good education, and you can play top-level football.
Right.
So I don't know who they're going to get. It's going to be a hard get. Do they go back to the Jim Harbaugh kind of staff? Do they go dig around in Michigan's staff right now and try to go get a Sharon Moore, an offensive line guy? Do they go try to get a Matt Wise, someone else? I don't know what the answer is there. All I know is that this is probably one of the hardest jobs in the country because Stanford was Kansas before Kansas. And then Harbaugh turned them around, and now they're starting to backslide again. And
your expectations are going to be low at Stanford.
Yeah, correct.
And let's be honest, the most likely of his staff to go get a job would be his defensive coordinator right now, who that's clearly what he wants. Some other coaching news, Trent Dilfer is taking over University of Alabama, Birmingham. Dude with a history of success at the high school level. Jumped up to Division I and taking over a decent UAB program who was dead 4 years ago.
I think that literally the school stopped funding it, but then donors donated money and brought the program back. I think we're going to see a lot more of the TV personalities, the analysis, the talking heads on TV that were football players come back and try coaching. It's in their blood. They feel like they can impact young men and try to guide young men through this world that we are presented with and that I talked about a few podcasts ago. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how it's going to work out for Trent Dilfer. I know Deion Sanders, he's kind of another one, was a talking head on TV. He's at Jackson State, undefeated, playing Southern this weekend, and now is in talks with Colorado for their head coaching job, as well as some other places.
Sorry, the old coach resigned citing back problems. He's 54.
Well, you know what? I feel that. So don't make fun of back problems. Weren't you just complaining on Saturday that you're like, I'm sore after touch football. I'm only.
At least I didn't blow out my Achilles.
I'm only 24, and I'm just like, just wait till you're 28, bro.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, he retired June 24th of 2022, and they named an interim coach. So, sorry, I totally... Oh, yeah, they're in the American next year. I forgot about that. Oh. UAB's moving to the American next year. Well, then
I had also forgot about that. That's an excellent move for him. Kind of, if he can get moving, that's a good move because American is becoming more and more high profile.
Some other moves happening. Hugh Freeze is back in the SEC, so watch out for strip clubs. He will be coaching the Auburn Tigers, which is a really great way for the Auburn Tigers to cut a coach after 2 years again. This is
he
the
does
stupidest
have history. Well, no, he was hired because, first of all, yes, he made some mistakes at Ole Miss, recruiting, whatever. Went to Liberty, rebuilt his image, did what he had to do. So now he's coming back to the SEC. He's the only coach in recent memory that's beaten Nick Saban in back-to-back years. He was at Ole Miss. They upset number 1 Alabama. Then the next year, it was a night game, and everyone, it was circled on the calendar. It was at home in Tuscaloosa, and they went in there and they stomped them. Ole Miss stomped Alabama. Now, he's never gotten the high-profile postseason wins, but he was hired at Auburn because of those 2 years. I think it was 14 and 15 where Ole Miss beat Alabama. And that's the only reason he was hired at Auburn, in my personal belief.
Well, that's definitely why. They needed somebody like this in order to take it over. They weren't going to go get a random person like they tried last time. And again, me and Micaiah both liked, you'll have to forgive me, I don't remember the guy's name, but we both liked the ex-coach. So another South person, I guess that's the best connection I can take, is Matt Rule. Will be the head coach of the 2023 Nebraska Cornhuskers, which should be interesting. Matt Rule, known for rebuilding programs, is probably the reason that he was brought on after a mediocre to unsuccessful attempt at head coaching in the NFL of the Carolina Panthers. He went 1-6 at the beginning of the year, and they fired him. So now he will be taking over Scott Frost's old position. This one, if Hugh Freeze to me is a B minus, maybe C plus. C. It's a C. I just don't think he's gonna do what they want him to do. Matt Rule to me is an A minus pick, maybe B plus. I think it's a good pickup for, he has a history. He built Temple. He rebuilt Baylor. He did pretty good. He's a good offensive mind. We'll see if he can still be consistent, which is what you have to be in the Big Ten. Mind you, the Big Ten was the only conference returning all of its head coaches in 2022. Now, the sense has changed, and there's quite a few open positions. So, who knows? Micaiah, I gave it a B minus.
No,
what
you
do you
gave
think
it an A minus.
I gave it an A minus or B plus, yeah.
I think it's an A minus. So you sent me a statistic that while he was at Baylor, he was 0-11 versus ranked teams. Mm-hmm. So that's basically what Nebraska had. And they basically, by the way, they're paying him an asinine amount of money they're paying him $9.25 million. Okay, he's one of the highest paid college coaches already. They're basically paying that to come change the culture. The problem I'm having is I don't think Scott Frost had a bad culture there.
Yeah. It clearly wasn't a bad culture.
It wasn't a bad culture. From everything I was reading, kids liked being there. He liked being there. The fans liked the football team. It's just that they couldn't win the close games.
Yeah, they couldn't get over the hump.
And so now you're asking a coach where at Temple – 1 year he had a lot of success, but in the biggest game against Notre Dame, couldn't win. And then he went to Baylor, and he had great success at Baylor, couldn't beat Oklahoma, had Oklahoma on the ropes and still couldn't be at home, and Jalen Hurts had to lead a big comeback, and then made it to the Big 12 title game and still couldn't beat Oklahoma in the rematch. So I would have picked Matt Rule, right? I would take Matt Rule as a head coach as well, but $9.25 million to
it's
change
a lot of money.
That's a lot of money for a culture that I don't think is all that broken. Now, Roberto says
he was never. Oh, he came. Okay, never mind. Continue. Sorry.
Roberto says he's going to have a hard time recruiting to Nebraska. I don't think so. There's again, with the transfer portal and all of this, you can rebuild the talent pretty easily. And even if you have to go get 3-star guys, he's going to motivate them in a way where 3-star guys are going to play like 4 or 5-star guys. And you don't need a whole bunch of 5-star guys to beat the top end of college football. Michigan just proved that. Mm-hmm. Michigan did not have a whole bunch of 5-star guys, and they just beat 5-star itself Ohio State.
So
the A minus I like.
Yeah, he went 2-10 his first year at Temple and finished with a 2-10-4s and a loss in the Boca Raton Bowl, and then a 10-3 and a loss in the military and a win in the Military Bowl. I'm sorry. He then went to Baylor, who they went 1-11 in their first season. In his first season.
That was after Art Briles' fiasco.
That was the Art Briles fiasco. Then he went 6-7 and won the Texas Bowl. Then he went 11-3 and lost in the Sugar Bowl. Yeah, I mean he has success, but he went 5-11 and 5-12, and I'm not sure if that's in the NFL, and I'm not sure if that's just a competition thing. Maybe he's just a college coach. We all know there are coaches who are just college coaches. There are coaches who are just NFL coaches. They can't cross over. Lovie Smith can't coach either. So
taking a random shot at a rando Lovie Smith.
No, you got to. So yeah, that's the big news right now. We're obviously going to do a whole episode on coaching carousel after the season. Moving on to, I believe we have to talk about this weekend. I think it's time. I don't have anything else. No, I lied to you. I want to talk about the college football rankings that came out yesterday, and then we will go into the weekend. Because I saw these rankings when they first came out. I swear to the Lord Almighty, These ones were the stupidest yet.
Why do you say? Because that's pretty much how they could have ended up. What's your big problem with them?
Alabama's 6.
And who should they be behind?
Who should they be behind? Well, the big one I have. Okay, so probably Ohio State. I prefer them to be behind Ohio State.
They are behind Ohio State. Ohio State's 5.
Oh, sorry, in front of Ohio State.
Okay.
If I had to switch those, the big issue I have is why in the F is Penn State in the top 10? Can someone explain that one to me?
Well, because who else would you put in the top 10? I think Kansas State's too
Utah,
low.
Kansas State.
So the problem is,
Who is it? Where's
Penn
UCLA's
State's
4.
two losses are to the number 2 team
And the number 5 team.
that just mollywopped the number 5 team.
Yeah.
And at home they played a good close game until the start of the fourth quarter against Ohio State, and then on the road you got your doors blown off at Michigan.
I don't think I would have dropped LSU 9 spots.
Clemson should not be in the top 10.
Yeah.
LSU was a ridiculous team to put at number 5, considering they got beat by Florida State in week 1, basically at home.
Yeah.
And then they got absolutely obliterated also at actual home by Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And the reason, and everyone's like, well, why is Alabama ahead of Tennessee? Because your starting quarterback is out. Your Heisman, who was going to be the Heisman winner, and who knows, maybe he already is. Maybe he still will be. Hendon Hooker tore his ACL and he's out. They're not going to put you 5 or 6 and let you get into the college football playoff with a backup quarterback when you haven't even won your division.
I think Kansas State and Utah deserve, because they're in conference championships, right, to be in that discussion. And I get it, Clemson's in a conference championship. But Clemson and Penn State, Tennessee, I have issues with all of these. Alabama is also not in a conference championship. So I think that's why I have a problem with
Do you think
they're not getting in?
Do you think that all the teams who have made their conference championships, if they're within the top 10 to 12, because I think Utah's sitting at 12.
Yeah.
So everyone who's in the conference championship, so you have Georgia, Michigan, TCU, USC. Mm-hmm. Everyone who they're playing should be 5, 6, 7.
So I have it up here. I have basically the Power 5 championship predictor basically here, and the odds of winning and that sort of thing. Basically, and this is the interesting thing. So they have, I don't know what the number is here, but let's just go with it. Georgia has a 99% chance of getting into the playoff. Most likely, they have an 83% chance to win on Saturday.
Correct.
That's probably accurate. I think you give Brian Kelly an A+ for the season he put together, maybe an A, and if he doesn't do it again next year, you have more issues. They give TCU a 92% chance to get in. TCU is winning it, in my opinion. What else do you want to see from them? They give Michigan a 99% chance to win. Okay, well that's 1, 2, 3. They give USC 20% chance of getting in. Who are they? Everybody else is less than 1% chance of getting in. Who are they expecting to put in at number 4? Besides an 11-1 Pac-12 championship USC, right? Shout out to Christopher Goodman, who said this aged well to our Will USC Suck video, which was one of, I think, our top videos this year, according to Spotify and Anchor. Yeah, I don't know, but 20% chance of getting in?
Because I think they take into account your percentage to win your championship. And I don't think, and right now, USC is only a 2.5-point favorite. Now, we'll get into this a little bit, but I'll just give you a spoiler. Every time Lincoln Riley lost in the Big 12, because in the Big 12 they do a round robin and then the top 2 teams go, right? Because there are only like 10 teams in the Big 12, which makes perfect sense. Every time he lost a game and then had to rematch them again in the Big 12, he beat them every single time. So now you're getting a rematch with Utah and a Caleb Williams who is looking straight at the Heisman. I don't see, again, I'm a little shocked. I don't see how you only give them a 20% chance to get in. My bigger problem is that Ohio State still somehow has a better percentage to get in the college football playoff than USC. Like, what?
This is USC with the win. So this is interactive. This is the ESPN All-State playoff.
Oh, the All-State, okay.
I picked Clemson, Georgia, TCU, Michigan, USC to win. My final result for the playoff, 51% chance of Ohio State still being in. What? I get it. Their one loss is a really good loss, but
is it though? You got smacked at home.
A one-loss USC team,
conference champion,
has to get in. That's your top 4 right there. I mean, it literally is your top 4. Assuming things play out the way that the script is saying, which hasn't been the case all season, mind you, then maybe you have a discussion for, okay, should we let... Guess what, Alabama? You shouldn't get in. Penn State shouldn't get in. I'll allow Ohio State, and you know what? Just for kicks and giggles, Ohio State's the only alternative that you have this year. You don't have 2 or 3 alternatives. There's no... That's maybe a Utah team if they win. But that would be asinine. But I would also be super happy.
How happy are you is that, you might have 4 different conferences in the college football playoff?
Oh, I'm elated.
Isn't that so great? At the beginning of the year, we started talking about how college football is run by the same programs, right?
Yeah.
And now here we are sitting 1 week away, 4 wins away from having the SEC, the Big Ten, the Pac-12, and the Big 12 all represented.
Oh, and shout out to the Big 12 for stepping up to the plate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sonny Dykes just said, hold my beer, and decided to railroad the entire state of Texas and Oklahoma.
Well,
and for that matter,
Oklahoma
he's looking to finish
hard.
it off with Kansas. Dude, the dude's going to be undefeated against states. That hasn't happened since the Civil War. One man is going to be undefeated against the state of Texas in football.
Yeah. And he can go and undefeated against the state of Kansas as well on Saturday.
Dude, you're going to have so many kids wanting to join your program.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if they get in, right? So it's like Georgia. Okay, so put TCU, Michigan. Somehow they upset Michigan, right? Could you imagine his recruiting class next year?
Oh, it's not can you imagine. It's going to happen. But with that offensive system closes the gap, too. He doesn't need a whole bunch of 5-stars from around his field.
Yeah.
What he needs to do is go out and recruit defense.
Yeah.
So that when his high-flying offense starts clicking, and it will because that's Sonny Dykes' offense, his defense can kind of keep pace.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one for sure. Oh, I forgot he played SMU too this year, so he really is undefeated against the state of Texas and Oklahoma.
Yeah,
I think the only Division I he didn't play UTSA, North Texas, UTEMP, and Houston, and I'm sure I'm missing 1 or 2 other ones, and he didn't play Tulsa. But besides that, he's undefeated against 2 states this year, and he's looking for a 3rd.
Is there a worse loss of this season than LSU losing in College Station on Saturday night to a really bad Texas A&M team?
And
sorry, I'm doing my notes. I'm doing my picks as we're doing it because I'm lazy and I didn't do them earlier.
I kind of moved past that, but, it's okay. No, there isn't. I think that's because LSU was like, okay, well, beat Georgia, and then you're in the playoff. So you have Georgia, you have a 2-loss LSU team and a 1-loss Georgia team in with Michigan and TCU. And, oh, yeah, look at Brian Kelly. And then I guess all the money that's in what's-his-face's bank account finally talked and showed up in a big game that actually mattered.
Well, because, finally, I don't understand these college programs, and Harbaugh didn't do it with Cade McNamara. When you have guys who threw the ball a lot in high school for all of these yards and broke all of these states' records and we're so good in high school, start them right away. He started that true freshman Connor Wegman, I think his name is, Wogman, I don't even know.
Yeah.
He finally, it actually, their offense looked better. Their quarterback play looked better. Harbaugh did not start Cade McNamara, who was I don't know,
Nashville, the Nevada state record holder.
State record holder for yards, completion for that, and touchdowns, all this. Start the guys who know what they're doing. Even if they're true freshmen. So what? It's like taking a first-round draft pick in the NFL, right? Taking a guy number 1 overall and saying, you know what, he's going to sit for the whole year because he needs to learn. No, you start him to see what you have. Even you know your team's going to be super bad. You know your team's going to be bad or just mediocre. But you got to see if he can handle it. You got to see if he can handle it. You throw him in right away.
Tell us how you really feel.
Well, I got to get worked up about something on every show. Every show.
You want to get worked out about something? Florida QB Jalen Kitna.
Oh, don't even give him the light of day. Move on. Don't even mention it. Just move on.
Don't look it up, guys. It's sad. Okay. I think we gave enough time to the weird rankings that honestly can't really do any better. Best 2-loss team, Penn State?
No, best 2-loss team is Alabama.
Can we get a bowl game between those two? That'd be
Penn
awesome.
State and Alabama? You might.
Yeah.
Here's something really interesting. So the Big Ten. So assuming Michigan.
Oh my gosh, you might.
So assuming Michigan wins the Big Ten title,
Purdue would get the Pac-12 game.
No. Let me finish. Assuming Michigan wins, right?
Yeah.
They would normally have the Rose Bowl, but since they're going to the playoff, every conference can then pick their substitute to send to the bowl game that's related, that's their tied into the conference.
Right.
So what you could be looking at is a rematch of last year's Rose Bowl of Ohio State and Utah. The Big Ten doesn't like that. And if they do that, then Penn State might not get in a New Year's 6. So what they could do is send Ohio State to the Orange Bowl against an ACC team and send Penn State to Pasadena to take on a Utah or someone else. But if they don't do that, Penn State might get the Citrus Bowl or something, which then would have the SEC tie-in, which would be your Alabama.
That'd be a sick game.
That would be a very good game because Penn State's got a good defense, and Alabama's
they got a nice upstart coming freshman.
And Alabama's just bad enough on the perimeter that would be a very good game in my opinion.
We're talking about very good games in Micaiah's opinion. It's conference championship week.
Oh,
we
yeah,
got some
baby.
weird ones for you. We got some good ones for you, some surprises. I wish we wrote down. Did we? Was I smart enough to write them down this year? I wasn't. I wish we wrote down the conference champions that we picked at the end of last year, at the beginning of this year, because I can tell you right now, I picked Buffalo to win the MAC, and that's not who's winning the MAC. The MAC will be played on 12 p.m. on ESPN and Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan, and it will be the Ohio State Bobcats taking on the Toledo Rockets. That's right, it's a battle east and west for the state of Ohio. O-H-I-O, no, we just lost to Michigan. So here we go. We're going to start here. It's at 12, Ohio. Guys, I know. We're talking about the MAC. Ohio is not the favorites, however they are. They're 7-1 in the conference, 9-3 overall. Toledo 5-3 in the conference, 7-5 overall. Toledo dropped their last 2 games to Western Michigan and a bad Bowling State team compared to the last 5 games, all conference games. Just Ohio has beat up everybody. The spread's 1.5. The over/under is 55. Guys, Ohio gives up a lot of points, but they put up a lot of points. They're averaging 34 points a game. Toledo's averaging 33. Expect this to hit the over. Expect this to be a good game. Guys, MAC last year was also a good game. I think it was Toledo it was Kent State and somebody else. So expect this to be a good MAC game for the season. I'm gonna take the over if I have to. I'm taking Ohio. They've just been the more complete team. Their 3 losses were to, drumroll please, Penn State, Iowa State, and Kent State. So those are pretty good. I just realized their starting quarterback is out for Ohio, most likely.
Oh, well, good thing you told me now.
Yep, he will miss the rest of the season after a knee against Ball State last week.
So, we're going to pick all the conference championship games. If you don't know, I've been distracted this whole podcast, so I do apologize. I hope I've still brought the energy. Simeon, I did not know that. That is great research, my dude.
I'm glad I clicked on them.
I'm going to change my pick.
Yeah.
I'm going with Toledo minus 1.5.
Now, to be fair, To be fair, the backup did play and got reps against Bowling Green. They put up 38 points.
Everyone puts up 38 points on Bowling Green. Get out of here.
I get it. Okay. I still think it's going to be a good game. I'm still taking the over, but I think I have to switch, and I think I have to go with Toledo as well.
We don't get to watch. I don't watch any Maction, okay?
Yeah.
Like, I will maybe watch 5 minutes of it. Again, I'm excited. On Saturday, again, live stream, YouTube. I will have a link on our Instagram.
There you
at
go.
4th and 1 Podcast.
Good job.
Saturday morning when we get that set up. I'm excited to watch this game. I mean, yeah, we'll be watching mostly the Big 12 game, but this is good, you know? We get to expand. Wow.
Stroke.
Expand our horizon.
There we go.
Sure.
I want to go to another battle. Well, there's 2 other Battle of the States that we're going to cover that are championships. First of all, just for all of you who really, really want some more action, Akron is taking on Buffalo. Tickets are as low as $14, and that is in Buffalo at 1 p.m. on Friday afternoon. So go watch the Buffalo Bulls beat
Akron did just kick someone's butt, though.
Akron actually won a game?
Akron beat Northern Illinois 44-12.
Good
and
for them.
Northern Illinois was... they're only a 3-win football team, so they're not that great.
The MAC, I feel like, switches every year. Anyway, 8 p.m. ABC, the nightcap.
Ooh.
One of the 2 nightcaps, but it's a nightcap for the ESPN networks. It's in Bank of America Stadium. It's Clemson fighting their rivals to the north in North Carolina. These 2 teams backed in. We kind of covered it earlier. I'm not sure about this one. It could go either way for me.
It's kind of funny because this has come full circle. And Clemson's first playoff run that eventually they made it to the national championship game, right? In their very first kind of year of this, who did they play in the ACC title game? That would be North Carolina. And North Carolina, it was a blowout, and then North Carolina kind of mounted a comeback, and actually Clemson had to recover an onside kick in order to hang on and win that game. Listen, we both kind of covered this. Clemson just hasn't taken that step forward with the rest of the country and the conference, and North Carolina's backed their way into this conference championship game. One thing
with a 2 overtime loss to North Carolina State. That's the only reason they're still basically in it.
Yes, that was the other team. So they lost to Georgia Tech, North Carolina did, and South Carolina. And South Carolina. North Carolina State. I'm sorry. Both of these teams' defenses have fallen off, and Clemson, which I regarded as one of the best defenses in the country almost all year long, has now last week against South Carolina, they gave up 31 points, and they've been giving up points in bunches. And North Carolina can throw the ball. They have the best quarterback in the conference in Drake May. I like this to be high-flying. I like the over of 63.5 to hit, but I do like Clemson to win just because they do have the better defense or should have the better defense, and I don't like how North Carolina's kind of finished the season.
Yeah, I agree. I think the over-under at 63, little high for my taste. I don't think they're going to get it. What? Makai just saw something.
Former Nebraska interim head coach Mickey Joseph, who just finished the season, arrested on suspicion of strangulation and third-degree domestic assault.
Yikes.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
That's a rough one, dude. You're not recovering from that.
What is happening in the state of Nebraska?
It is chaos.
Maybe they did have a culture problem.
Maybe they did. Let's go over to the Alamo Dome, where North Texas is taking on. This is a Friday night game on CBS Sports Network. The North Texas Mean Green are taking on the Meeps of UTSA. It's a home game for the Roadrunners. They're favored by 8.5 points. This would be the Roadrunners' second conference championships in as many years. Look for their coach to land somewhere else this offseason, most likely Micaiah.
So this is almost a year. So they played in their last conference championship, I believe, also against North Texas, the night of your bachelor party last year, my dude. So happy just about 1 year on that. Both of these defenses are very bad. They both give up over 400 yards a game. They both their offenses average 470 yards a game, and both teams give up greater than 26 points per game. This is going to be a lot of scoring. The over of 69.5, I think, might get hit in the middle of the third quarter. I like UTSA to win just because I think they're the better team. So take the over of 69.5 and UTSA to win.
Yo, UTSA's quarterback has thrown for 3,500 yards.
Yeah. Listen, they're a good program, and like you said, their head coach is going to be up for some Power 5 gigs.
Just watch for it. All right. Let's cover some of the non-ones we don't care about. Guys, we're not going to be watching New Mexico State take on Velasquez or whatever they does. But over in Veterans Memorial Stadium in Troy, you heard me right, Alabama at 3:30 on ESPN, we got the Fun Belt. No one saw this coming. Coastal Carolina decided to rest all their players last week, I'm assuming, because they got blown out by JMU in JMU. Troy is still favored by 8.5 points, though. I don't know where the Troy Trojans came from. Remember, what was it, 2 years ago that they upset, who was it, LSU?
LSU, yeah. In Baton Rouge, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, these would be basically seniors, those sort of seniors. I think Troy's more the complete team, probably. You know what? I like Coastal Carolina, but I don't like them here. I think you're going to take the over. I'm going to take the over at 48 if it's staring me in the face like that. And I'm going to take the Trojans just to win the game.
That's exactly Coastal Carolina gives up 412 yards and 28 points per game on defense. Troy much better, about 17 points per game, and they give up only 316. That's some good defensive numbers there. I'll still take the over because I think Troy can score as well. Coastal Carolina will find the end zone a few times. I like the over of 48 as well, and Troy to win.
So let's jump over. Stay down south. We got the rematch of 2 weeks ago. 4 p.m. on ABC. It's the number 22 UFC Golden Knights, or I guess Knights, taking on the shock of the American this year, number 18, the Tulane Green Waves.
I love how ESPN doesn't do the American any favors because they put them in the exact same time slot of the game that everyone will be watching in that time slot, which is the SEC championship game, also happening at 4 o'clock.
This game will be better.
I 100% agree. It was entertaining the first time.
Yeah.
Tulane was up. UCF had to go down the field, run the football down the field, and score with a backup quarterback to win this game. Listen, I think it's more of the same. I think this is a very close game. I was very impressed with Tulane going into Cincinnati, snapping Cincinnati's 32 home game winning streak. They play good defense. They play bounce football. They run the football. Both these teams run the football. UCF is coming off of a bad loss to Navy 2 weeks ago, and then they had to hang on to UCF with their backup quarterback late in that game last week. So
a very bad UCF team. USF team, Southern Florida, South Florida. But I like this game to be close either way. I like the Knights +4, but I like Tulane to win. So I think it's within 4, but Tulane pulls it off. I don't know. You're saying basically this is going to be decided by a field goal.
Yeah.
If you guys want to make some money this weekend, here's how you do it. You bet the over at 56.5.
Oh, there you go.
Holy crap, that game is... This is going to be a 31-38 type of game.
Both these defenses are pretty good, though.
Both the defenses are good, but the American...
Do you think because they just saw each other that the offenses
That's
are
why the number's so low. That's why the number's so low, because they think it's going to be like a 21-28 sort of, or in your case, 21-24 sort of game. And I could see that being the case. This game's going to be a lot of fun. It is... Where is it located physically? They get us. They're on a neutral site, aren't they?
Yeah, they're in Yulman Stadium. It's in New Orleans.
Oh, no. No, that means that's Tulane gets the
home field advantage.
The home field advantage. I forgot the American gets the home field advantage. So, yeah, should be interesting. Should be fun. I'm taking Tulane, taking the over, and talking about another school that, I mean, we see every year. We see them year after year in the conference championship. Birds fly into their field thinking it's a lake. It's unranked 9-3 Boise State taking on unranked Fresno State Bulldogs.
Do birds actually fly into their field thinking it's a lake?
100%. And fun fact also, somehow Boise State has a trademark, or I think it would be a copyright or a patent on colored football fields. So technically they had to give another team on this week that's playing this weekend, Coastal Carolina, rights to build their own field because Coastal Carolina has that teal stadium. So there's a little fun fact Friday for you, even though it's a Wednesday. Here's the deal.
I don't know how I feel about that, but okay. Continue with your pick. Good for the school, but okay.
Broncos are 8-0 in the conference.
Yeah.
Bulldogs' 1 loss is to the Broncos.
Yeah.
Boise State's 3 losses are to BYU, really bad 3 losses, BYU, UTEP, and Oregon State. Really bad loss to start the season. Guys, they're here every year, and they're here every year for a reason. It's going to be Boise, over-under is 54. I'm going to take Boise minus the points anyway. They're going to win by more than 3.
There you go. Good boy.
And over-under... could go either way. I'm not going to touch it.
The only thing I know is that Boise State allows 284 yards of offense per game, and that's better than 353 that Fresno allows. So I'm going to go with Boise minus the 3. Do they also get home field advantage? Albertson Stadium. I'm going to guess.
Boise, yes.
So the home field advantage in this case I like, so give me Boise minus the 3 as well.
The quarterback's name is Talon.
By the way, we've pretty much agreed on everything, so everyone just bet the opposite, and you'll win a ton of money.
Probably.
However, I am 5 games over I am 5 games over 500. So
Watch us hit all of these this week.
that would be amazing. I love it.
Well, we're going to start talking about games you might actually care about, but still we're ranking them in order of importance in my book. We're talking about number 2 Michigan Wolverines going down south to Indiana to take on the Purdue Boilermakers. Yeah, because Indiana's below.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more of like a cross thing.
I'm not good at geometry.
It's geography, but we're moving on. Michigan's favored by negative 17. Most people call that minus 17. I'm saying negative. Over-under is 52. Take the over. Michigan might get there by themselves. But also, Purdue plays some pretty good defensive ball. Micaiah, they also like to throw the ball around. I'm still taking Michigan. I'm not actually taking the minus the points, but I am taking Michigan. So I'll actually take Purdue plus the points in this situation, but I'm taking Michigan to win.
Yeah, Purdue's defense isn't terrible. Michigan's defense is outstanding, and the second half adjustments in every single game that they've made, especially in the second half of the season, have just been absolutely outstanding. I didn't think that they would be able to dominate Ohio State. They outscored them 28-3. I think in like the last 6 or 7 games of the season, they're outscoring opponents like 140 to like 20 or something in the second half of games. They're just dominating. Will Blake Corum play? I don't know. However, I think they're just going to give the rock to Donovan Edwards. Aiden O'Connell, the starting quarterback for Purdue, is out. Purdue is preparing to go without him. So that's a little bit of a red flag as well. I like Michigan minus 17. I think this game is close at halftime, and then Michigan kind of pulls away at the end. With or without Blake Corum, they're going to impose their will on their running game. And Purdue, what they do well is they throw the ball a lot, and they're okay running, and Michigan stops the run, so Purdue's going to have no running game. I expect them to have no running game and be able to only throw a little bit. So I like Michigan minus the 17.
So Michigan is ranked number 1 in total defense, and somehow they upgraded their defense from last year where they had 2 basically first-round picks and upgraded their offensive line. But the only team to allow less points per game than them is playing at 4 p.m. They're going to be in Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Hotlanta, Georgia, taking on the LSU Tigers. This would have been the game of the week had LSU not lost to Texas A&M last week. Georgia's favored by 17.5. I think that's fair. I think Georgia is feeling a little bit left out of the Cool Kids Club after Michigan beating Ohio State last week.
It's actually 18.5 now.
Oh, over-under's 51. Guys hit the over. And, yeah, this is going to be a Georgia all the way.
I think that Georgia, it's going to feel like Georgia's going to dominate this game, but I think LSU keeps it within 2 scores.
Yeah,
and
agreed.
even now within 3 scores, right? So now I'm actually going to take LSU plus the 18.5.
Yeah.
But this feels like a Georgia dominant all the way.
Yeah. The stat line is going to look different. You're going to be like, oh, they kind of played them close, but like, not really.
I could see this being like a 34-21 type game.
Yeah.
And it be like a 24-14 game entering the fourth quarter or something like that. Start, midway through the third quarter, and you're like, okay, LSU's hanging on. And then Georgia kind of puts them away there at the end. So I think it's within 18, clearly, if I'm taking LSU plus the 18.5, but I think Georgia wins.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm taking a look at... Wait, what?
What?
Luke Fickell took the Wisconsin job?
He was on my thing!
No, he was not.
He was!
I'm sorry, guys. No, you have Matt Rule, Hugh Freeze, Lane Kiffin.
Oh, no, that is my bad. Luke Fickell took the Wisconsin job.
Pardon? We're going to break as we build up to the game of the weekend, in my opinion.
This isn't even breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. This happened last Sunday.
No one told me.
How did you not get that alert on your phone from ESPN?
I guess I guess it just wasn't there. That's huge. That's a great pickup for Cincinnati, for Wisconsin.
It plays into their culture very well. I kind of feel bad for Jim Leonard because I thought that he should have gotten that head coaching gig. The NFL is probably going to come poking around, and he might finally make that jump to go be an NFL defensive coordinator, and I think he's going to have great success there because of what he does in the college game. If he can get a quarterback, and I don't think he has any problem to, what he wants to do is he wants to run the football and play great defense. And what is Wisconsin known for? Running the football and playing great defense. Now, why that's been in a downward spiral over the last couple of years, he'll turn this around. And now all of a sudden the Big Ten West, with Fickle, with Matt Rule coming in, I could see in 2-3 years them not being a pushover in the Big Ten championship game anymore.
For sure. Sorry, I was looking. I forgot. We need to bring up the fact that also the first head coach to be born in the 1990s is now been hired.
Yes.
Oregon's offensive coordinator, Kenny Dillingham, took over for the Herm Edwards weirdness that happened down there.
And he is a graduate of Arizona State, and I just hope that he coaches better than he called that game in the second half against Oregon State as they blew a 21-point lead to Oregon State. And they lost out on their chance at the college football playoff and the Pac-12 championship game. All they had to do was win.
Speaking of championships games, Micaiah, I think it's the game of the week end.
Yeah, I would say so.
It's number 10, the Kansas State Wildcats, going to Jerry World, AT&T Stadium.
It's not where I thought you were going, but continue.
In Arlington, or Dallas. I don't know
it's
where
Arlington.
It's Arlington. Taking on the Sonny Dike-led the Horned Frogs of TCU at number 3. Guys, this is going to be a really, really good game. Adrian Martinez made Scott Frost look dumb by playing this year at KSU and playing really well. He's not injured, right?
No, but he has lost his job to Will Howard.
Oh. Womp, womp. I was on a roll.
Here's the problem I have. Is when they played 5-6 weeks ago now, 7 weeks ago, Kansas State was up 28-10 on TCU in TCU when Will Howard, the backup quarterback to Adrian Martinez, was playing and throwing the ball around. Now Will Howard's starting. K-State has a bad taste in their mouth, and they get a rematch at that TCU offense. I want the top 4 to win so bad this weekend, but I told everyone I do not pick with my heart, I pick with my brain. And my brain is telling me that Will Howard can throw, and you should take Kansas State plus the 2.5. And I think Kansas State wins the game on Saturday. And so now it becomes very interesting. Is a one-loss TCU better than a one-loss Ohio State?
Well, that's over under 62. This is the highest over under that I'd probably take the over. We know the Big 12's not good for defense besides K-State. 19.4 points allowed per game on average. Matt Duggan, a beast. He's going to be a great prospect to sit behind somebody for 1 year, maybe even start. We got Quinton. Am I remembering that correctly? The big man, his number 1 receiver. But you can't hate on K-State. They're looking really good this year. Guys, I don't know. It could go either way.
Deuce Vaughn, who's a 5'5" little bowling ball, who gets in there. And
I'm freaking out as much as humanly possible. I don't know. I want TCU to win because they've been hated on so much.
Me too.
But
it's a rematch.
State. I don't know what will happen, but I think the championships. I'm gonna disagree with Micaiah because we agreed all the time. Okay. I can do that now. It makes me feel better. We're taking Kansas State. We're taking TCU to win. There it is. And with that, we've taken up.
No, we haven't.
What did we miss?
We missed USC and Utah.
Oh, I meant to
Well,
leave
I
with them
gave
after
you
Michigan.
my rundown. Listen, Lincoln Riley, when he was in the Big 12, every time he lost to a team when he got a rematch in the championship game, he beat them. He lost to Utah. He gets a rematch against them. He's a 2.5-point favorite. Utah's defense is only okay. USC's defense is showing sign. Oh, and by the way, Caleb Williams, as I said earlier, is staring right at the Heisman. He's had a great last 2 weeks. I think he caps it off with a great third week. I think he locks up the Heisman. USC locks up that 4 spot, possibly higher. If TCU loses, USC minus the 2.5.
Yeah, I take USC minus 2.5. Over under 68. It's going to be close. Total yards of offense on average is 973 yards between the two teams.
Yeah.
It's going to be this, guys. If you don't have anything Friday night, it's going to be.
It's going to be fireworks. Yeah,
8
in
p.m.
Vegas.
on Fox in Vegas. Oh, it's going to be good. I take USC 2 in this game, though. I don't think Utah stands a chance.
No, not because it's a rematch and they lost.
Yeah, I think USC finally found their rhythm in my opinion.
Oh yeah, sure, that too.
Yeah. Now can I play the music?
Now you can play the music.
All right, guys. As always, it's been the worstest podcast in the world. It's your boy, Fancy Trash Can, saying thank you for supporting us and listening. We'll see you guys on Saturday, hopefully. That's all I got.
Wash your hands, you filthy animal. See you Saturday.